So I've just got down to TaylorMade headquarters in London. That's the building you can see behind me, and I always look forward to this day of the year because this is when I get my new golf clubs for 2019. So I've played TaylorMade golf clubs for a number of years now. This year is no different. I'm going to be playing a full bag of TaylorMade clubs, and today is when I get to find out what they are. I'm going to head in and meet James. I'm going to speak to Mark, who works in the tour department. We're going to have a look around that tour department, see what happens in there. That's where all the golf clubs get built from, the European Tour players that you'd have heard of. So we're going to have a look in there, get some clubs ready for me to hit, and then we're going to head over to Wentworth, where we're actually going to do the fitting, and actually hit some shots and just make sure we get those clubs dialed in so they're perfect for me for this year. Right, let's get inside. Okay, so let's say I've come down to TaylorMade HQ, Basingstoke. I'm now in the tour workshop with Mark. Mark, how are you?
Yeah, good to meet you, Chris.
This is where we don't live here, do you? Because you're on the tour all the time, aren't you? In fact, you're saying you're off to
feels
Australia
like
tonight?
Sometimes, yeah. Australia this evening.
Australia tonight, okay. So we've just been sort of getting my clubs ready that we're going to take over to Wentworth and test out. But as we're here, I thought I'd ask you a few questions. So this is kind of where all the clubs get built for the guys on European Tour, mainly?
Yeah, this is essentially our headquarters for the European Tour. So any clubs that get built for any European Tour players or any of our staff players all comes through this workshop. And obviously we've got the tour truck that lives just out the back there as well, which is kind of stocked out of this workshop. So this is the HQ, if you like, for the European Tour for TaylorMade.
Okay. And we were talking about this a minute ago. This is quite interesting because this crops up a lot in the lessons that I feel, the general club that I speak to. I think there's still a little bit of a misconception out there that people walk into a golf shop and feel like the TaylorMade driver that they buy at the golf shop isn't what the guys use on tour. And it is,
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Everything comes out the same machinery, out the same factories. The only difference really with our ones are they're tested to a slightly higher degree, I'd say. So we get like things like the exact loft, the exact face angle, the exact head weight that you might not necessarily need for the clubs down there. But our clubs, because obviously we're working with much smaller details with some of the bigger players where a quarter of a degree can make a big difference. So we need to know if we're giving, you know, a tour player a head, we need to know the exact loft of that down to a quarter of a degree.
Yeah. So whose kind of clubs have you built? Who's the kind of, just some name dropping?
Well, I'm not essentially a builder, I'm more of a rep on the tour, so Sam's our head builder, but in this workshop, everyone, you know, who's played TaylorMade clubs, so Francesco Monari, all his clubs last year would have come through here, built clubs for Justin Rose, Tommy Fleetwood, Rory, I mean all the big guys that come over to Europe. I guess the only European player that we've done stuff for on the truck but not necessarily in here would be maybe Rahm, because he's maybe more PGA Tour based, but other than that, all the European guys, it's either through here or through our tour truck out the back there.
And you were showing me over there, you got some drawers, haven't you, with different heads and wedges, sort of primed ready for when the guys come over to Europe. So
yeah,
there were some Rahm wedges, was there?
Yeah, so when the tour truck goes out, we'll make sure we've got backup heads for Rahm, Rory, Tiger, even just for the Open, Dustin, so that, you know, everything is exactly to their spec. It's been tested, so we know exactly, you know, if we give them that head, that's exactly to their spec. So we'll keep stuff, you know, in here and on the tour truck for those guys.
So you've just built me some, well, not built with the woods, but put some shafts ready, some heads ready.
Yeah.
So we're going to head with Wentworth now and test those?
Yeah, obviously we've got your shafts, which we'll test those anyway with the new heads and see how they go. But just, I thought I'd take a few different shaft options and just see if there's some more gains to be had in terms of ball speed, feel, whatever it might be. But
excellent.
Yeah.
Right, so head over to Wentworth then.
Yeah, let's go.
So just driven from TaylorMade to Wentworth, it's about half an hour, and you can see the academy behind me. Now obviously there's been a fair bit of snow last night, so the course, the academy, and generally the whole place is on shutdown. But the performance centre, the TaylorMade Performance Centre is here on the right. There is an indoor place with a shutter, so we're going to hit a few shots. We might be able to pull a shutter and hit someone to the range, I believe, as well. So I'm going to head in now and use the golf clubs that we got built, I should say, over at TaylorMade, and actually put them to their paces.
Yeah, so we do obviously right down to a 50° now.
Yeah.
Obviously they don't have the faces, the grooves all to it, but it's the same style, things that they look pretty, they're going to look kind of the same as your high toe in the bag. So the only thing I would say for me in the wedges, because there is a lot of guys do go the same shaft all the way through the set, and it's probably something you've kind of always done and not really thought of.
Yeah.
But I have experimented quite a lot with like wedge specific shafts.
Yeah.
Not to say you should change into them, but I do see guys benefiting from them in the softer shafts, because you'll almost notice no difference apart from when you are hitting softer shots. They should feel a little bit better, and they should actually flex a little bit more for you when you're hitting like a 60-70%. So I don't think you're going to notice too much difference on these 760s, especially in the sort of pitch 9/8 iron. They're kind of fully forged, so it's only the 7 iron where the kind of technology kicks in,
yeah,
and the foam filled faces. So the interesting thing is, well, the good thing they've done with these is you don't really notice a difference in feel. So although they're packed with a little bit more technology, everyone's commented on how soft they feel, so the transition from the 8 through to the 765, but also how they spin quite well. So traditionally, with these type of irons, they're quite hot. They get distance, but almost sometimes it can be from too low spin. But these should be, of all the irons we've got, these should be perfect for you because they're going to spin the most out of all the irons we're looking at. Unless you go down into blades, which probably the amount you're playing, that's not.
No, let's not do that.
So all right through the bag, all shots you've hit, they've all been pretty consistent on spin, but consistently like a shade on the low side. So hit one more with this one. So this is just the standard Lystand X1, same as it should be the same as what you've got. So what we'll do, let's just jump in the back room and measure these, because I'll measure the lie on this versus this.
Yeah, sure.
It'd just be interesting to know, because obviously they same swing and they've both turned over a little more, so it'd be interesting to know if actually your lie is a little bit different to what we've got with this one.
Okay, so these are some of the numbers with 7 iron. So the thing we're trying to work out at the moment is spin rate, which you can see kind of middle, bottom of the screen there. It generally tends to be a little bit low. So we're just trying to get that up a little bit. So he's going to try and weaken the loft a little, see if we can get that a little closer to 6,000. That's going to give you a little bit more control when the ball lands.
If you can kind of spin it a little bit, your average can just go up 400-500 RPM. You'll just find your misses get a lot smaller.
Yeah, that sounds good.
And with the 7 iron, we're not talking about a distance club anyway.
No.
You'd rather your miss sort of front to back was 6 or 7 yards than low spin where you might get a hot one and it goes 15 yards further than you're expecting, because that's not you're not trying to go macho and hit it long with the 7 iron. You're trying to be small and tight and consistent. Keep these numbers nice and small. That launch direction for you just right. Small spin axis. And spinning it just over 6 would be fine for you there.
Yeah.
That would be a good pace for you. But like I say, in that head, you should be able to just keep your speed like where it was. If you looked, it was over 30s every time.
Yeah.
So you're just going to keep that distance up as well. I mean, you hit it far enough anyway. So if you're carrying it 185 with a 7 iron, you're hitting it plenty far enough. But obviously, no one really wants to give up distance. No. So, but that's what I would say. I would say the reason why this is probably quite a good head for you is we can afford to go more lofted and not give up ball shade. So that's probably why that's working quite nice. Got lots to compete with that too.
Higher.
Yeah,
Massively higher.
I like that. Yeah, so slightly steeper land angle, same spin, but there was definitely a higher peak height.
Yeah, it was a bit higher.
Haven't got, I would say it's potentially a fraction more lofted than yours at the moment, but obviously the great thing with these is you've got the ability to change it. Like,
yeah.
You know, like you can change it, whereas with 2 iron, you know, it is kind of is what it is. You can dial this in flight-wise exactly what you want to see.
What's that head?
So this is an 18, is it 17?
Yeah.
17 head. I would say, yeah, potentially it could be a little more lofted than yours. Just looking at...
Yeah. It's nice though, it feels a little bit easier to hit.
Yeah. It's a fractionally bigger head, but a little bit more kind of mass, like say around the bottom, should be a bit more forgiving. Well, this should be a good setup for you. Now, so I'd expect to see, if we can see the same kind of start line and everything that you had with this, but a little bit more spin loft and a little bit more spin. Nice. There you go, double figures. Out there, launch angle 11. Spin 2-4, that was pretty good. Probably hit that maybe a hair low on the face.
Yeah, it wasn't quite what it was.
Love that. Yeah. I mean, that almost looked like it wanted to go a little bit more. 2300 spin. That spin loft now up into double figures. Perfect. Because you were like sort of 9s here before, which is, if you see someone that low, especially when you've got some speed, you know, that's a dangerous game to play because you just need your face angle to be a little bit off and that's going to go. I quite like that back weight for you, just being in that toe side. It's almost, I tell you, I know it doesn't look like a lot, but I found it with M3 last year as well, just having it tucked in just either side of your sweet spot, if you like. Yeah. It really made a difference to how the face kind of, the control of the face. And for you, you know, if it just holds that face squarer for like, you know, a fraction of a second longer. I was thinking at first, like maybe we'll experiment with, you know, going a bit shorter in the shaft or something, but I don't really think you need to be honest. Probably your best drive, that. Good concentration there, at least there.
It's all that, though, it's not going to make a difference, is it?
Right, so as you can see, all the clubs are on there, so that's my fitting done. That went right through the bag from wedges, through irons, through kind of mid-long iron gapper type stuff into 3-wood and driver. Really, really happy. Quite a few changes from what I was currently using, which is why it's just so valuable to come to these kind of places and speak to someone like Mark, who's an expert. Because they really know what they're doing and they can kind of look at options that you wouldn't even think of. So we changed the driver setup slightly, we changed the shaft in the driver, we changed the 3-wood a little bit in terms of the loft, we changed the loft on the iron, so quite a few changes. But all really just to make performance better, and that's ultimately what the fitting's about. It's about doing what you can to the golf clubs to help the performance out on the course. You know, the current clubs I had, the spin was a little low, the driver spin was a little bit low, so just looking at those numbers and then making a few changes just dials in You know, it really makes a difference. You can see straight away when you pick up the driver and the irons and you hit them, you know, the different flight and the shape and the curve, and it really helps you kind of buy into that process of the fitting. So you know, we as golf coaches, we harp on about it all the time, but it's so valuable to go and see someone who is an expert, get yourself fitted, get some real good eyes looking at you and your golf equipment. It's only going to benefit your game. So obviously massive thanks to TaylorMade for getting me down to their headquarters, down to Wentworth, putting me through this process. Thanks to Mark, thanks to James. I might do a what's in the bag when they arrive, so that might be going in a bit more detail as to what the clubs are. So let me know in the comments box, would you like to see me do a kind of what's in the bag, and I'll go through the whole bag, kind of the pockets, the golf balls I carry, all that kind of stuff. That might be interesting for you to find that out. Right, so I've got to head back now. It's going to take me around about 2.5 hours. Still, as you can see outside, plenty of snow, so I hope the roads won't be too bad, and hopefully I can get back in good time. Thanks for watching. Slightly different video, but I hope you enjoyed it. A little bit behind the scenes of a fitting. Usual stuff is down below. There's a subscribe button, the like button, all that kind of stuff. So go ahead and use those as you wish, or there's a subscribe button over here if you'd rather click on that one. Thanks for watching.